go, Warriors. Okay, so where from here in the euro? So everyone knows I made a shift from being real bearish a dollar to looking for a bounce in the dollar to looking for even more of a major bounce in the dollar. So here we are in the euro. We didn't quite make new lows in Euro USD. We could, for a 1, 2, 3. But the trade for me is a rally back up towards 110.50, not riding the trade. If I do anything counter trend, and I did in the room, it's very light. It's with tight stops. And the bigger trade is with the trend, which I believe has shifted. So here are your retracement levels going forward. We do have the ECB this week. It's pretty much baked into the cake. They're going to ease, but I'm looking at 110.50, 110.60 as being a good sell, and then another wave to the downside. So similar situation in cable. I'd like to see a rally back up towards 132.5. If you look at the daily, that would put in a pretty nice right shoulder. And we're sitting on the neckline right here. And after 32, I'm looking deep, maybe even down under the 200-day moving average. Just this move from 30 to 34 gives you 26. So waiting for right shoulder to develop in cable. Aussie, weaker because China was a bit disappointing. But I'm not going to, you don't just chase this. If we get a rally back towards 68, the lines are a little bit more obvious on the 4-hour TF. So, rally up to, 680 to 820 because I'm thinking we could trade under 65 again in Aussie. Japanese yen almost at this 3 drive line, which comes in a little bit above 150. Maybe we stretch it up towards 151, but stalking it, looking for a short. We are diverging on the 4-hour time frame. Maybe this happens on a turnaround Tuesday. Let's look at the 2-hour diverging as well. And if I really want to get short term, look like at a 30-minute chart, 15-minute chart, which we're not diverging. We're actually confirming short term. So maybe it does a little work here, but I was talking about a move back to 150 all the way back when we were trading down at 140. I pointed out the major weekly support in the end at 140, and with looking for the dollar to bounce, that was part of it. Back here, started talking about the possibility of the yen forming a right shoulder up here. That would take it up towards 52. But we could fail from 51, pull back towards 43, 44, and then make another run at it. Similar situation in Canada. Don't chase Canada here. I do believe we're going to make new highs over 140. We're going to take this high out. But if we get a pullback here down to around 136.50, that would be a buy zone. But I don't think that we'll take out 136. You're wrong, under 5.5, looking for 140. And the Dixie, I guess you could wait for it to do something wrong. It hasn't. It's really not diverging on the 4-hour time frame. See shorter term if it is. Nope, it's not diverging anywhere. So, I think that you have to, it's diverging, but for my work, I'll point it out again. Although we are diverging, your higher probability inflection points for a turn happen under 70, like what's happening here in the yen. See, we're just at 70. In the Dixie, it's been stronger, and you have a stronger RSI picture. So you probably have to wait for the signal that we're going to start heading back down towards 102, 101.5, would be closing back under this wedge line maybe we could just call this a throw over, and then back under 102.80 could trigger the larger formation for a pullback to correct this wave that we had. Okay, so if we get down to 101 and a half, if we have equality, that's going to take you above 104. But if we have a fib extension of this, this is how I come up with 106. So I said to avoid silver. I said sell a rip last week. Once we were down here. Well, a 50% retracement looks like a pretty good rip to me. The real test for silver and gold will be if the dollar pulls back towards 102, 101.50. But this is what tipped me off to silver possibly having problems. And I talked about the 30 level in silver last week, closes back under 30 was going to be negative. I thought it was worth a shot to sell a RIT. And, we could even do 61.8. Maybe that's what happens if the dollar does pull back towards 101 and a half. But under 30, there's problems, at least to 27. I've actually seen counts as low as 25. That would really shake things up in the mining sector, wouldn't it? And, part of the reason is silver really needs a weak dollar for it to perform, unlike gold. Okay, gold could do pretty well even with a strong dollar. Silver, not so much. So, if we're going to have that rally in the dollar, pull back first, but then a pretty good rally that could take euro back down to 106 and cable 25 and Aussie 64 and yen back to 43. You know, there's pretty good possibility that silver's not going to perform if we're going to get that kind of movement in the dollar. I think we should touch on copper. I don't think it's impressed with what China's come up with so far. That's also part of Aussie's weakness. So copper doesn't look that great to me. It's got to hold 430 or there's problems. Let's get to the 10-year. And the 10-year has exceeded price levels that I thought. I was looking for about 420 is the big area. That was the breakdown. But even if yields are going to head higher into the end of the year, I do expect at least a pullback here in yields. Maybe it doesn't happen until the end of the week. Let's wait for a signal on a weekly basis for that. And also looks like TLT is going to be trading underneath this breakout line. So let's see what happens here. Yeah, we really didn't get much of a bounce out of it. Actually, our guest that we have coming on Wednesday is an Astro trader, and she's looking towards November 18th as a possible turning point in TLT. So we'll give that a shot. Mike told me he's starting a campaign in that gas. Pretty good pullback. Maybe not enough. Maybe we go to 230, but completely different chart than WTI, which is giving it back. But as long as WTI holds last week's lows, I wouldn't be short. I've already given you my lecture on shorting crude. I think that there's going to be a retaliation by Israel since they get that a defense missile system up and running, could be as soon as this weekend, especially with the escalation and the Israeli military taking a hit by a drone yesterday. So, a lot of people think everything's going to be okay until after the election. Nothing's going to happen until after the election. Well, I think that Israeli retaliation, which most likely President Biden would not like to see any kind of chaos erupt in the Middle East 3 weeks before the election? Or would it be an opportunity for Kamala Harris to show that she can be effective in a crisis? So it's October. Expect surprises. I always felt it would be a geo surprise this time. Something bigger than the Fed, something bigger than the NFP, bigger than central banks, bigger than tax policy, something exogenous. And, I don't think it's a question of if, it's only when. So let's take a look at risk, which continues to the upside, whistling past the graveyard. Um, Now, I think that there's going to be you can see the daily still diverging. I think there's going to be a couple different trade setups here between now and the election. Just best guess is that the 4 hours starting to blow out the divergence. But I'd be looking for some type of short-term high in here this week and a pullback, and it could be 5%. So, that could take us back to here. But then I don't think that's the final rally. I think that we'll get a pullback and then we'll rally one more time, probably into after the election. And then we have other issues to deal with, especially since I don't believe we're going to know for a while. I think it's going to be decided in the courts. It's definitely, we're not going to have a smooth transition. Okay, so don't be a Pollyanna about it. Um, let's hope for the best, but prep for it. So I think that also could be part of risk off. So if I'm right about a dollar rally to 106, I'm trying to think, what am I wrong about? Our yields, did yields bottom and they're going to head up towards new highs into the end of the year or back towards, 4.5 or so on the 10-year? Or is it going to be risk off that generates a flow into the dollar and that the bonds don't completely fall apart and that this would be a buying opportunity in the bonds setting up in the next 5 to 10 trading days? So that's the way the board looks set up to me. I don't think, what else can we cover here? But let's talk about Bitcoin because, we're getting closer to where it could turn good and have that melt up. It's really been taking its time. You've really had to be patient. But here's the breakout line that it came off of. So it looks like it's 67,000 for a breakout in Bitcoin, which could take it to 6 figures. So there you go. That's the look in Bitcoin. And we'll see what happens with the market later in the week, but very focused on silver to the downside and looking for a bounce in the euro that could take us back to 110.60 for a sale, along with the other majors. So see you in the room. Remember, don't just count your pips, count your blessings. Have a great guest on Wednesday. Let me pull her up. For all you guys that are astro people, I think you'll enjoy this. You know that I talk about things like the equinox and the solstice and eclipses and planetary oppositions. People think I'm cuckoo. I'm a lunatic. Um, but there are people that really rely on it. And I'm just looking for it. There it is. It's Margot. So here's Margot's report, Margot Amala. And, if you're a, planet person and you use this stuff to trade, come check her out because she also uses a time element in it, which is something that Gann used in association with someone that she works with. So looking forward to speaking with Margot on Wednesday. Looking forward to catching up with Mike tomorrow at 11 a.m. EST. It'll be time for Mike and me. So good hunting the rest of the day. Know where you're wrong and know when you're right what you're looking for, and always take partial profits. Adios.